Alright guys, this is my new video, my top 10 most anticipated films of 2015. I try to get a lot of films from different genres, different franchises, some original movies, so just a mixture of everything. Number 10 on my list is Inside Out, a film by Pixar. Now I know at one point in time you try to figure out why somebody did something. This film basically talks about what goes on in people's minds, the different emotions that occurs, how people react to the outside world, and I just really enjoyed that. The trailer looks really fun to me. It kind of reminded me of Toy Story. Pixar hasn't really made a bad movie yet to me. Maybe Cars, but I think the demographic was kind of for different people. But other than that, I really enjoyed Pixar. So I'm just looking forward to this. It looks very playful, very kind towards adults. So I'm just really high on this. My 9th most anticipated film of 2015 is James Bond's Spectre. If you know me, I'm a big fan of James Bond. Now, my favorite James Bond is probably Dr. No. My favorite of all time is probably Sean Connery. I think he did the role really well. Daniel Craig is probably second on my list, actually. But I'm a big James Bond fan. I just like the gadgets, the cars. My favorite car is a BMW. That's because of James Bond. I know Spectre was in one of the early films, one of the Sean Connery ones. I forget which one off the top of my head. So I think he's going to play a big role in this one. I'm just anticipating it. You know, Daniel Craig has been doing phenomenal. Casino Royale was brilliant. Quantum of Solace was iffy in my opinion. But Skyfall, that was just probably just one of the best James Bond movies of all time. Probably top 5, maybe number 1. So that's why this is high on my list. My 8th most anticipated film of 2015 is Terminator Genisys. Now, I'm a fan of the Terminator series. Terminator, the first one, and Terminator 2, Judgment Day. The third one I recently saw probably a few weeks ago or so. I just wasn't a fan of that one. The CGI was all out of place. You could tell that this was fake and that was fake. The story was kind of meaningless. Salvation, I enjoyed Salvation. I thought it could have been a little bit better, but it wasn't as bad as Terminator 3. With this one, it seems like they're going to erase Terminators 2, 3, and 4 and just restart the series, like a reboot, kind of what X-Men did with Days of Future Past. Just pretend like X-Men 3 did not exist, but in this case, pretend like Terminators 2, 3, and 4 didn't exist. I was a fan of Terminator 2, as I said earlier, but I think the storyline is kind of jacked up with the whole Kyle Reese situation and the John situation as well. John Connor situation. So I think that kind of messed up the whole timeline. So I believe that this one they're going to restart it since it takes place in the beginning. We see the old Arnold Schwarzenegger in the trailer. The new one, or I guess younger one, whatever he is. I guess he's coming back to reset the time. So I'm just anticipating this. I'm hoping that's really well. If this movie bombs, it's not as good as, let's say, Terminator 2, this franchise is done. It is done. So they have to do this one really well in order to continue the franchise. My 7th most anticipated film of 2015 is The Avengers Age of Ultron. I was a fan of the first one. It's probably second best superhero movie of all time to me, right under the Dark Knight trilogy. But with this one, I don't know if it can live up to the hype. The first one was just so high of a standard, action-wise at least. They're going to try and get a story started, since I know they're doing Civil War in 2016, I want to say, either 2016 or 2017. The whole conflict between Iron Man and Captain America. Maybe that will show up here. And I saw the new trailer. I really want to see the Hulk suit that Iron Man has when he fights Hulk. I think that's really going to be the highlight of the film for me, just to see the Hulk and Iron Man battle. I'm hoping that there's a Spider-Man in the credit scene. I'm hoping. I'm not positive, but I'm really hoping. And I would like to see how it ties into the Civil War. Maybe this will be the beginning, as I said earlier. But I believe that somebody's going to die in the film as well. I'm curious to see as to who it is that will die. But overall, I think it'll be a great summer blockbuster. Great way to start off the summer. Marvel hasn't really done bad within the past few years with their films, so this is why this is on my list. 6th most anticipated film of 2015 is Tomorrowland, starring George Clooney. I believe it's going to be a sci-fi adventure about how these people go into a different universe, how that affects their actions. That's what I think the premise is. The trailer didn't really give into the whole premise, but it looked really cool. Usually when people switch into different galaxies and things of that nature, they show the transition. There's CGI type of effect in the background showing that they're traveling to a different universe. But with this film, what I noticed that's different is that the people are instantly in Tomorrowland. Now, I really haven't seen that in a movie before, so that's why I want to see it. The trailer, it looks really original. It's probably like one of the best sci-fi films that's going to come out within the next few years. The last great sci-fi film I saw was Looper, where it's starring Joseph Gordon-Levitt. And as a whole, I think the whole sci-fi genre is kind of dying down. I don't know what it is. I think with the whole new age of franchises and the superhero films, the blockbuster summer films, I think sci-fi films has been left in the background, but at one point in time, those were the blockbuster films, so hopefully this can help bring back the genre. I think Tomorrowland is also based off of the Disney theme park, if I'm not mistaken. So maybe we'll see some rides in there. Who knows? My fifth most anticipated film of 2015 is Jurassic World. Growing up, I saw Jurassic Park 1, 2, and 3. I really haven't seen them in a while, so I can't really give you my perspective on the films, but I do remember them being innovative and very original to me. The dinosaurs looked very real. The whole scenery seemed very real and authentic, as if people really were dropped in the dinosaur period. That's what I remember about it. A lot of memorable scenes too. The car scene in the first one with the rain and how the dinosaur just popped up out of nowhere. I really remember that standing out. But Jurassic World, to me, it kind of seems like they took Jurassic Park and put it into a theme park. I don't know if anybody else got that vibe from the movie, but that's what I got. It just seems like they took Jurassic Park and put it into like a Disney World type of atmosphere, maybe Sea World, because in the trailer there's a spectacle, the thing jumping out of the water. So maybe it is a theme park, but I'm not sure. But it's on my list. Chris Pratt can't really do no wrong. I saw him in Guardians of the Galaxy. He did really well in that. And I think he's rumored to be in the next Indiana Jones movie, playing as Indiana Jones. So maybe he'll do good in that. I can see him doing that, actually. To me, this movie's all nostalgia. That's why it's on my most anticipated films of 2015. My fourth most anticipated film of 2015 is Mad Max Fury Road, starring Tom Hardy. I'm a big Tom Hardy fan. Now, I did not grow up with the original, obviously, the one with Mel Gibson. I have not seen them. I will see them before the movie comes out, though. So after that, I can probably give you a little bit more of my perspective of how this movie should be done. But I'm just anticipating, it looks like a really good action movie to me. From the trailer, like kind of original. I haven't really seen this. It's kind of set in a desert, which I haven't really seen. I haven't really seen many movies set in the desert and kind of been good. So I'm kind of anticipating it in that sense. Overall, I believe the movie is set in a post-apocalyptic world where this guy comes across this girl and he just traveled the desert and just try to get across it. I know the premise sounds kind of boring, but with Tom Hardy in the movie, it can't really be that bad. I see a lot of practical effects in there, so that's good to see. You know, every once in a while, you just want to make the suits itself and design the costumes in that sense, instead of just relying on CGI and special effects. It probably won't be the best acted film, but I believe that it will still be a great film in that sense. I actually heard from somebody that has seen the movie that it was really good, so that's why it's on my list. My third most anticipated film of 2015 is The Hateful Eight by Quentin Tarantino. Quentin Tarantino is probably one of my favorite directors of all time. It's probably on my Mount Rushmore, if not very close. And so this movie to me, it looks like a Western. I know he did Westerns before with the whole Django situation. So that's why I'm really hyped on this one, especially because he did it before, so he knows what to do and what not to do, even though that was a great movie to me. Now this movie is set after the Civil War, and it's about these guys who try to just live and survive on a stagecoach as this blizzard passes by. That's a unique premise when you have 8 different people living in the same area, and it's in a Western, it's a blizzard. I just want to see how that goes along. Quentin Tarantino, as I said before, he has done very little to no shame to his career. Maybe Jackie Brown being the least favorite movie that I've seen from him. But the guy knows how to direct. Let's face it, folks. He knows how to direct. He has classic after classic, from Reservoir Dogs to Pulp Fictions to Inglourious Basterds to Django. The guy just knows how to direct. Oh, can't forget the Kill Bill series as well. It's not really a lot that's out there about the movie, but from what I know, I believe that there's actually a script online. I may actually read it. I'm not sure yet. I may read it. I don't really want to spoil the movie, but I may just see it just because of that. My second most anticipated film of 2015 is The Revenant, starring Leonardo DiCaprio, and it's also directed by the director who did Birdman. So that's also a plus. Now this movie is about a guy who is attacked by a bear and whose friends betray him along his journey, and so he's out for revenge. Now I actually believe that this film will get Leonardo DiCaprio his first Oscar. I believe that he should have won for a lot of different movies over the span of his career, but I think this will be the one. It seems like one of those films where he'll have to hold the movie on his own. I know the Oscars enjoys movies where people do that, and also biographies, even though this is not a biography. but I think this will get Leo his first Oscar. There isn't really much out there with the premise, but hey, Leonardo's in the movie, it can't really do no wrong. Pretty much gets nominated for whatever movie he does nowadays, actually. And so I'm just looking forward to this movie. You have to go see it. I believe it comes out in December too as well. Number 1 on my list of my most anticipated films of 2015 is Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens. Now, if you know me, I'm a big fan of Star Wars. I grew up on the prequels, 1 through 3. I saw bits and parts of 4 through 6. Have to rewatch it actually. I'm actually going to rewatch episodes 1 through 6. Maybe I plan on reviewing the episodes month by month. I'll just give you my perspective of what I thought of the film, how it could have been better, how it relates, and how it's the setup for the next movies. But episode 7 is directed by J.J. Abrams, so that's why it's really big on my list. The guy, he knows how to do sci-fi. He put life back into the Star Trek series, which I really enjoyed. I really didn't get into Star Trek before J.J. Abrams did his movies, so that's why I'm really into that. And there's some big names in there, some up-and-comers as well. I think the big names just try to give the movie credibility. He brought back the people that played Luke, Princess Leia, and Han Solo. It's still related to the previous franchise for those that saw those movies, but it also kind of brings new light into the movies, which I really like. I'm curious to see how they do the story without Darth Vader being the central point, because, you know, he died off in episode 6. And so I'm just curious to see how they do it. But Star Wars, I would like to see the special effects be done really well, which I think they will be done. I actually started reading some of the books that relate to it. They're in canon with the whole series, so I just started reading the books on people's life stories that were in the series, from Tarkin to Luke. Started reading the comic books, Darth Vader, the Star Wars one, Princess Leia one. So I'm really getting set for episode 7. I expect this to be the biggest film of 2015, probably outselling the Avengers at the box office opening weekend, I believe. So there you go, guys, my top 10 most anticipated films of 2015. Like I said, there are a lot of films from different franchises, different genres, some original ones in there, some great directors, some unknown directors. On my list of my most anticipated films of 2015 is Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens. Now, if you know me, I'm a big fan of Star Wars. I grew up on the prequels, 1 through 3. I saw bits and parts of 4 through 6. Have to rewatch it actually. I'm actually going to rewatch episodes 1 through 6. Maybe I plan on reviewing the episodes month by month. I'll just give you my perspective of what I thought of the film, how it could have been better, how it relates, and how it's the setup for the next movies. But episode 7 is directed by J.J. Abrams, so that's why it's really big on my list. The guy, he knows how to do sci-fi. He put life back into the Star Trek series, which I really enjoyed. I really didn't get into Star Trek before J.J. Abrams did his movies, so that's why I'm really into that. And there's some big names in there, some up-and-comers as well. I think the big names just try to give the movie credibility. He brought back the people that played Luke, Princess Leia, and Han Solo. It's still related to the previous franchise for those that saw those movies, but it also kind of brings new light into the movies, which I really like. I'm curious to see how they do the story without Darth Vader being the central point, because, you know, he died off in episode 6. And so I'm just curious to see how they do it. But Star Wars, I would like to see the special effects be done really well, which I think they will be done. I actually started reading some of the books that relate to it. They're in canon with the whole series, so I just started reading the books on people's life stories that were in the series, from Tarkin to Luke. Started reading the comic books, Darth Vader, the Star Wars one, Princess Leia one. So I'm really getting set for episode 7. I expect this to be the biggest film of 2015, probably outselling the Avengers at the box office opening weekend, I believe. So there you go, guys, my top 10 most anticipated films of 2015. Like I said, there are a lot of films from different franchises, different genres, some original ones in there, some great directors, some unknown directors.